Hello, my friends. Welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair, coming to you live for those of you that are watching live. And coming to you on YouTube for those of you that are watching later. We're glad to have you however you're watching. Of course, live is great because you can join us in the chat room. So if you catch us on YouTube, try to tune in on Wednesdays in the afternoon if you're in the States, or in the evening if you're in Europe, or Thursday morning if you're in Australia. So we'd be glad to have you. The mantra of our show is that one guy with one PC and the right software can do one awesome broadcast. And mantra might be the wrong word. Maybe goal is the right word. Because I'm definitely one guy, and I'm only using one PC, and we're working on the awesome broadcast part. But the idea is to prove the concept that you don't need a room full of PCs in order to do a pretty good broadcast. If you have a passion for broadcasting, for getting the word out in a talk show format like this, or in a church broadcast, or a sporting broadcast, or an events broadcast of some kind, you can simply do it with one PC and have a really good broadcast. You can't have every single bell and whistle there is, but you can have a really good broadcast. On these broadcasts, not today, but a lot of times, we will have guests that join us by Skype, and we'll capture their audio and video and bring that into VidBlaster and make that part of the VidBlaster program. It's a lot of fun. And we'll be having I'll tell you right now, we've got some great guests coming up for this fall. This show is being done in August 28th, 2013. And coming up in September and October, I know for sure that Alan Bunt from Wisconsin Falls, Wisconsin, will be joining us. Alan was one of our very first guests on one of our very first shows last year, and had a great demo. Well, it wasn't really a demo. It was sort of a tour of the broadcast equipment and software that he uses at his church. And it was great. Alan did a great job of sort of taking us through everything he did. He's a dedicated VidBlaster user and a really nice guy. And so he'll be with us in September with an update on what's been going on at the church. And Alan is also taking the plunge into VidBlaster's new macro features through the API. Unfortunately, that's only available in the studio and broadcast editions, but his church put it in their budget to upgrade to the studio edition, and I think they got an opportunity to upgrade from version 1 to version 3 at the same time, I think, not sure. But he's made extensive use of the macro functions. And so he'll come on and talk to us about macros and some of the other really cool things that he's doing there at the church. I think you'll get a lot out of that, and I'll give you a lot of notice when that comes out. Also coming up, I hope, he hasn't given me a firm yes yet, but is Zach Adams. Zach is a new VidBlaster guy hailing from Florida. And Zach, you may have heard already about this. Zach is the guy that's got 24 cameras that he's switching with VidBlaster. And so hopefully he'll come on and do a demo and a tour of how he's doing that. Can you imagine trying to switch 24 cameras? I can barely do 2 or 3. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, that's going to be fun, and I'll make sure you get plenty of notice about that. If you haven't already, you want to follow us on Twitter, the @ and then VidBlaster Guy, and you want to subscribe to us on YouTube so you can get all the notices of when we post a new video. Or heck, you may not want to, but if you do, by all means do. We'd love to have you. Full disclosure, I am a VidBlaster reseller, so this is kind of like a giant infomercial for VidBlaster, but really, it's a lot of fun to play with this software. And if you haven't, you can download a free trial edition from the VidBlaster, from the forum, and that's forum.vidblaster.com. Go to the download section, and you can download the latest beta. You can download the latest release version, and the trial software is a lot of fun. It's equivalent to the Studio Edition. VidBlaster's got 4 different levels. It's got Home, Home, Pro, Studio, and Broadcast editions. And so this is the next to the top one you can go to vidblaster.com and see the different features that the different softwares have, so that you'll know kind of what it is you're buying if you're buying something different than the studio. Or you can just call me or shoot me an email. In fact, you're welcome to shoot me an email. And my email is tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. And if you've got questions about VidBlaster, by all means, drop me a note. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to drop a comment, I will respond to the comments there too. So, all that business kind of out of the way. Today, we've got some exciting things going on. One is a contest. If you've just tuning in live, today is the contest. I put some hints out on Twitter, and only one person said that they were able to figure out what my hint is. It's really more of a riddle. And I'm going to give away something that is like a 50s bumper-colored fishing movement. Well, what in the world am I talking about? Well, think about it. You know, back in the 1950s, all the automobiles that were, at least in the U.S. at that point, had gigantic bumpers. And what color were they? Okay. Now, if you are I don't know about fly fishing because I'm not a fly fisherman, but if you're a fisherman that's fishing in a river or a lake or the Gulf of Mexico, perhaps, and you might get your bait or your lure, and then you're going to fling it out there. That would be the second word. So today, so, well, come on, guys, y'all got to get this. I'm talking to the chat room here. They're like, can you tell us what it is, please? I would really like somebody to guess. I mean, you don't win it by guessing it, but I just would love somebody. JP, you can. Your silence is your promise of silence is now lifted. You can answer and give everybody the question. It's a Chromecast. That's right. It's a Chromecast. So we're giving away today on the show a Chromecast. That's right. I happened to score some of those when I was passing through, where was I? Oh, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina last week and picked up some at Best Buy. And then, no, I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, where I got some, and then I picked up some more in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I wanted to get an extra one so I could give one away here on the show. So let me announce it's going to be the person that gets the trivia question correct will be the winner of the Chromecast, and I'll ship it to you. You'll have to send me your mailing address. And here is the question. Well, sorry, I get tongue-tied when I get excited like this. The way that you enter the contest is you send the answer to the trivia contest to me by email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. And the first person that sends it in and gives me the correct answer will win the prize. So get your email programs up and ready to go. Here is the trivia question. In VidBlaster's history, you know, please understandable for Germans. Got it. I'll do my best. VidBlaster has different versions, version 1, version 2, version 3, and within each one of those versions are different subversions, I guess you'd call them. And so the last of version 1, for example, was version 1.36. The current version 3 is version 3.16. What version of VidBlaster was the very first version to include video replay? I'll repeat that now. You've got to email me right here the answer. What version of VidBlaster, and that would be the major version and the subversion, was the very first version to include video replay? So video replay was included in which version of VidBlaster? So send those answers to me now. We'll announce a winner at the end of the show. And I've got my laptop close by, so I'll be checking the emails here shortly. I can see 55 people are heading for the VidBlaster forum right now to see if they can figure it out. And the VidBlaster forum is a great place to get information about VidBlaster. That's where you can download the latest beta. That's where you can download the latest release version. And since the last show, we missed last week, so it's been a couple of weeks since we've been on the show, been on the air. But since then, there have been 2 betas that have come out since the last time we had a show here. And I wanted to cover some of the changes in VidBlaster with those betas, and then some of the changes that have not yet produced betas, but I think are going to be really, really exciting for some of you. Let me get my show notes here. Version 3.15, which came out after we left, included a feature that was inadvertently left out of version 3, and this was in the streamer. Back in version 2, Mike Versteeg, the developer of VidBlaster, had added a resolution of 960 by 540. Now, 960 by 540, you've probably already figured it out, that's half of 1080. And so that would be an easy resolution for a PC to use because it's a half. So it takes less, the way I understand it, and you know my understanding is not that deep, but it would take less CPU power to include and encode the stream for a 960 by 540 resolution. One of the other things that was added in version 3.15, was an improved audio video sync correction in the player. So there's correction built into the player now that allows you to better sync. It's not anything you need to do. It just happens all by itself. And there was also a bug fix in the in the streamer, because sometimes in the streamer, no, I think this is in the recorder. Sometimes the recorder did not properly close a file, and so that gave some folks some problems. And so that bug has been fixed. And then there was a bug in the player that had some problems when it looped, and that bug has been fixed. And then there was a bug where the modules were not properly counted after you loaded a profile. And so that bug has been fixed. And so we're glad that those were taken care of. That was version 3.15. And then version 3.16, there was added additional support in the player for non-standard video resolutions, different codecs besides the more standard ones, so that the player is a little bit more versatile in playing different videos. And there was another looping bug that was found in the player when you played WMV files, and so that was fixed. The diagnostics module, which is only available in the broadcast edition, fixed a bug in the memory mode. Previously, it didn't show the full 4 gigabytes that were available. And then Instant Replay had a small bug fixed, and as an outcome of fixing the bug, it improved the video quality. And there was really another significant change. Let's see if I've got it right here. Yeah, beginning at 3.14 is that VidBlaster has beginning to implement sync lock. And sync lock is a proprietary technology, a hybrid technology that basically will help VidBlaster get closer and closer to broadcast quality. And so this is phase 1. Don't know how many phases there are, but we're always delighted to see a project like this started. Basically, all of the modules have been or will be rewritten with this technology, and that means that the CPU usage is better distributed over the individual cores, which means you can push the CPU higher and higher. You know, before the recommendation was, well, don't go over 50%, definitely don't go over 75%, because there would always be cores that were peaking while other cores were in their 20s, but the average CPU usage might be, 60, 70, 80%. Now that the processing is more evenly distributed over all the cores, you can go a little closer to the edge and not fall off. Also, and I'm reading my notes here, so forgive me if I'm reading. Some of the key modules have been rewritten for better performance, resulting in 50% less CPU usage, and that includes the camera module, the recorder module, and the player module. And then something that used to have a terrible name, a module that was named the RTSP RTMP in module, is now simply been renamed the IP decoder. So if you wonder what happened to the RTSP RTMP in module, well, now you know it's the IP decoder. And it's been improved and includes a low latency, it includes a low latency mode and support for multicast UDP streams. So that's good stuff. So that's kind of an update on what's going on with VidBlaster from 3.14, 3.15, 3.16. I can see in the chat room that folks are sending those emails in, so hopefully my email box will have enough room in it for all of them. We'll remind you, if you're just joining us, we are doing a giveaway for a Chromecast today, and the giveaway is based on a trivia question. The trivia question is... instant replay, video replay, was added to VidBlaster in what version? It would be, version 7.93. Obviously, there isn't a 7.93, but I need to know more than just version 3 or version 2 or version 1. What was the version where video replay was very first added to VidBlaster? So that's our question, and if you know the answer, shoot me an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com, and you are in the contest. Now, this is a first come, first serve, so be quick. Be quick. Let's see, instant replay. Want to talk a little bit about, I've seen some discussion on the VidBlaster forum recently. General question. Here's a question from the chat room. Can we submit an updated answer? Yes, you can answer as many times as you want. That's no problem. There's been a discussion about VidBlaster's choice of a particular resolution, and that is 864 by 480. Well, 864 by 480, that kind of piqued my attention because that's the resolution that we use for this stream. So with 864 by 480, the question was, well, sometimes my video software, I guess maybe Premiere or something like that, didn't have 864 by 480. It had 854 by 480. Why did VidBlaster choose 864 by 480? Because that means that essentially you've got 5 extra pixels on this side and 5 extra pixels on this side, and you've got a black bar. If you've created a video in one of these video programs, video editing programs, and you're going to bring that video into VidBlaster and play it, now it's not going to fill up the entire screen. It's going to be a little short. Why did VidBlaster choose 864 by 480? And had to go back in the forum a couple of years to find the answer. And the answer basically was that VidBlaster wanted to parallel Flash Media Live Encoder and use the same resolution settings that were available in Flash Media Live Encoder. And therefore, since FMLE, Flash Media Live Encoder, was going to be doing the encoding for VidBlaster, then there was no sense in having something have to be re-encoded from 864 to 854 or from 854 to 864. Now, as it turned out, as I was looking in this, I found out that 864 by 480 is close to a 16:9 aspect ratio, but it's not exactly 16:9. So there's an interesting thing. And as I was playing earlier in pre-show with with an HD cam that was set up for 720, and I guess 1280 by 720, 1210 by 720, whatever it is. I've got it in my notes here. Let's see. Yeah, 1280 by 720. I noticed that, oh yeah, we've gotten some bars there as one compared to the other. And the 864 by 480 is not true 16:9. 16:9 would be 864 by 486, or if you're committed to 480, it would be 853 1/3 by 480. So 854 is close, 853 is close, but if you're going to go 480 purely, it's going to be 853.333333. That I thought was really interesting. And one of the factors that kind of blends into, I think, the choice for 864 is that it's a multiple of 16. And 16 apparently is a magic number in encoding. It's a square. It's the square of 4, which is the square of 2. And so it becomes easier, and I'm not an boy, I'm in the deep end, way over my head on this one. But essentially, something that is a factor of 16 pixels is easier to encode. And we obviously want things to be easier to encode so that we don't use as much CPU, so that we have more CPU left over for other tasks. So that's a long way of saying that VidBlaster picked 864 by 480 over 854 by 480 for two reasons. One, because it paralleled Flash Media Live Encoder, and it was probably Flash Media Live Encoder was trying to do the 16 pixel multiple as well. So that's why we did 16:9, or not quite 16:9, but 864 by 480. When I bought my first television, or my first flat screen television set, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, something like that, the salesman in the store was bragging, oh yeah, this is 480, P or I or whatever it was, and it's high definition. Well, it was definitely higher definition than anything else I had going on. I thought it was terrific until I got my 720 set, and then later got a 1080 set, and I realized my 480 wasn't that great. But 480 back then, 480 was high definition. It was better than anything else I had. And as I made a choice on how to stream this show, choosing 480 was a choice that was kind of a balance between bandwidth and CPU on my end, and bandwidth on your end. If you're watching live, or even if you're watching on YouTube, although YouTube will re-encode this, and I think gives you a 360 option and a 240 option. We did a show a couple of 3 or 4 weeks ago using YouTube Live, and they re-encoded it. It was a 864 by 480, and they re-encoded it to 360 and 240, and also in the recorded version re-encoded it to 144 so that it could be viewed on a mobile device. So I thought that was pretty cool. The YouTube Live won't work for us because it had way too much delay, and the folks in the chat room were saying, well, Tom, it's 45 seconds delay. Some people were saying up to 2 minutes. So that was not something we'll do again, but interesting if you're doing different kinds of events. I would encourage you to take a good look at YouTube Live. And that's my explanation about why VidBlaster picked 864 by 480. Let's see. The other things that and if you're just joining us, again, we've got a contest going today. We've got and this may be just for our U.S. viewers. I apologize if you're overseas and this won't work for you, but we're giving away a Chromecast. And the Chromecast is given away to somebody in the answer to a trivia question. And the trivia question is, you can shoot me the answer in an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. The trivia question is, what version, major number and minor number, that is number, 7.83, what version was video replay first introduced in VidBlaster? What version in VidBlaster first had video replay? And the first video replay was a little crude, but for those of us that did sports broadcasting, it was great. It was better than what we had. We had the ability to take video and basically delay it up to 30 seconds and then show it to people again. Or we could delay it 15 seconds and then delay it another 15 seconds, and so we could show the same replay twice. The downside was, I think that version used RAM to buffer it, and so for people that didn't have a lot of RAM in their PC, things would not work well. I don't know whether they crashed or froze or whatever it was. And so Instant Replay number 2 came out, which was disk-based, and that allowed the same 30-second delay, and that was pretty cool. It was 100% speed, and there's no sound. And then Instant Replay 3 came out, which of course is, as you know, is the slow motion Instant Replay, and that has continued to be developed and has included, I think in version 3.14, a playlist. So now you can take the clips that you've made in Instant Replay and keep those in a playlist to be played later. That's pretty neat, and I've enjoyed using that myself. We talked earlier about the version 3.15, 3.14, 3.15, 3.16, some of the bug fixes and new features that have been added. There are apparently some other bugs that have been fixed that will probably be coming out in 3.17. That's my guess. Again, I don't speak officially on behalf of VidBlaster. I just keep my ear to the ground and try to guess. But there was a fairly universal problem that people have had for years with VidBlaster and Ustream or Bamboozer or some of the other CDNs, where you would start the streamer and it would stream for 1 or 2 or 3 seconds and then it would stop. And that was a symptom of a myriad of problems. There were probably a dozen different problems that could cause that same symptom. If in Ustream you didn't get your channel name correctly, it would have that, and the Ustream channel names were kind of funny. I might name my show That VidBlaster Guy with a space in between them, but when Ustream made the name of my show, it would put I don't remember whether it was a dash or an underscore in the place of the spaces. And so if I went to enter my channel name in the VidBlaster streamer and typed it in the way I remembered it with the spaces, it wouldn't stream. And I finally figured that out by going to the Ustream, my Ustream show URL, and seeing how it was printed there and pulling it out there, and boom, that worked. If you accidentally, if you're streaming to, let's say, you're streaming to Decast, and you're using Flash Media Server in the streamer as the way you want to stream, and so you're going to put in a URL and a stream name. If you accidentally reverse the stream name and the URL, the symptom is that it streams for 1 to 2 seconds and then stops. It doesn't, essentially Flash Media Live Encoder, which is working in the background with VidBlaster, doesn't understand, and so it just shuts down. And so it gives that symptom. If you have your password name wrong or your username wrong, that will give the same symptom. Well, apparently you can also have some problems with your PC that will give the same symptom. If you have inadvertently erased a codec, or perhaps have loaded a codec package and then tried to get rid of them, and have accidentally deleted a codec that was needed, that will give the same symptom. If you, for example, maybe you added a video editing program and then you removed it and it asked you, do you want to go ahead and remove this? And you said yes, and boom, all of a sudden things stopped working. And it was, let's see, who was it? It was Alan James, who I don't know is necessarily a regular watcher here of that VidBlaster guy, but has been a very dedicated user of the VidBlaster support forum, that shared this problem recently and sort of worked through all the different processes that you have to work through in order to have something ascertained as a bug, have it confirmed as a bug, and was really diligent. I was really impressed, and hat tip to Alan for doing this. And after probably, maybe a week or 10 days, maybe 2 weeks of kind of back and forth on the forum, Mike Versteeg, the developer, found out as he was looking into this that there was actually a limitation in Flash Media Live Encoder that under some conditions would give this symptom. And what happened for Alan, the way he kind of, well, I won't say he figured it out, but let me tell you the story and then I'll tell you the conclusion. Alan finally gave up and said, I'm just going to reformat my hard drive. I'm going to reinstall Windows. I'm going to do everything fresh. And then I'm going to put VidBlaster on and see what happens. And he did that, and it worked. And he said the only difference he made was that when he was installing the Windows software and it asked for the name of the PC, previously he had given it a long name with spaces in it. And so this time he gave it a short name with no spaces, and suddenly it worked. Well, he was sharing that on the forum, and you know how it is. Sometimes when somebody will propose a solution, the solution isn't always the solution, but it prompts a thought to what the solution might actually be. And this is what happened between Alan and Mike. And so Alan says, hey, this is what I did. Mike looked at it and said, no, that's not really, you didn't fix what the problem was. It was really something else. And as he figured out, there was a limitation in Flash Media Live Encoder. And from what I understand, that means that coming up in version 3.17, there will be built into VidBlaster sort of a workaround for this limitation with Flash Media Live Encoder. So for those of you, and it doesn't happen on every PC. That's the crazy thing about it. I've had it happen on some, and then for some reason it goes away, and it's probably because I reinstalled or uninstalled some software that locked or unlocked whatever was causing this problem. The nice thing to say is I think finally this little nasty little bug is fixed. Now, there were lots of workarounds for it that you could do. You could run Flash Media Live Encoder separately and use the streamer set to the VVD and then pick that up in the video section of Flash Media Live Encoder. Or you could use the output module in VidBlaster set to VidBlaster VVD and pick up that in Flash Media Live Encoder, and things would work just fine. But if you like the simplicity of just clicking the streamer button and not having to use Flash Media Live Encoder, that's what I'm doing today. I've got everything built into the streamer. So it's got all the different codes and keys and passwords that are needed for VidBlaster to communicate through Flash Media Live Encoder to Dacast. So I like doing it that way because right now I happen to be streaming at a greater level and I don't need as much control to tweak Flash Media Live Encoder as I did, say, 2 or 3 years ago when I was bandwidth restricted. And so I had to do a lot of tricks within Flash in order to get the best possible video out at low bandwidth. There is another problem that I think will technically be classed eventually as a bug that has been identified and has been solved but has not yet been released in VidBlaster. For folks that might be using, what was the Blackmagic? There's a Blackmagic card. It's 4 ports input, 4 ports out, SD. I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. But some folks had reported that when they were importing video into VidBlaster and then using the video out module, which is now called the output module. Yes, somebody in the forum is correcting me. It's the Decklink Quad. Thank you very much. the DeckLink Quad. When they were outputting the video that they had just input, it came out stuttering with a slow frame rate, not a good video quality. And, you know, who was to blame? Was it the video card? Was it VidBlaster? Was it, you know, something else in the process that was causing this? And again, hat tip to Paul Crisp, and boy, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name. It's Renaud, R-E-N-A-U-D, Renaud Juilliard. Again, don't think they're viewers here, but they were kind of responsible for kind of bringing this problem to light and working through on their end, doing all the different testing per Mike's request to figure out exactly what it was. And it was basically a bad video output bug in VidBlaster. And that's, you know, nobody likes a bug, but everybody likes a bug that's been fixed. And so that one has been identified. It was in the output module, which used to be called video output. So if you've got version 2 and you're thinking, you know, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the renamed module that's now known as output. That module, that bug for output has been fixed. So, and that's you say, okay, well, Tom, why is that significant? Well, it's significant because a lot of folks are using VidBlaster for some of its function. For example, and this is one that I really keyed in on, VidBlaster's new instant replay allows folks to use VidBlaster as just a replay system. You can put it on a fast PC, take inputs from cameras, and then send one output back to a video switcher, whether it's a TriCaster or a hardware-based switcher or what, and let VidBlaster on that PC act as the instant replay. And so folks that were trying to do that were having problems with the video quality coming back out. So it's delightful to me to see that problem has been identified and has been fixed. So if you're thinking about doing that, by all means, you know, write a big check for that DeckLink Quad and have a go at it, because VidBlaster will support it now with no problems. So that's good news. That's good news. Today has kind of been a good news bug fix, you know, update kind of day. In addition to our contest, and if you just joined us, we'll give you another shot here at the contest. We're giving away a Google Chromecast. We did a riddle earlier to say we're giving away a 1950s bumper-colored fishing movement. Wasn't that what it was? Fishing motion. That's right, a Chromecast. And so giving away a Chromecast, the trivia question is, what version of VidBlaster first had video replay? What version of VidBlaster first had video replay? And if you want to, you can send your answer to me now, tom@thatvidblasterguide.com. And in just a few minutes, I'll pull my laptop over here and check my emails, and we'll see who is the first one to have that answer. I should have made it draw names out of the hat for the first one, so those of you that came in late would still have a shot at it. Somebody's asking in the forum, will I ship this to Germany? I don't know. Will it work in Germany? I guess that's the real question. I don't know if it's set up on 50 hertz or 60 hertz, or if it's switchable. I don't know. We'll have to see who wins and what we can do about that. So anyway, if you'd like to join, shoot an email to tom@thatvidblasterguide.com, and we will have a go at the end of the show about that. Want to give a shout out. Let's see who. Oh, I was going to give a shout out to Jean, because Jean is watching us again live from Canada. Jean, glad to have you. Jean is the proud owner of one of our custom VidBlaster PCs, but has been under the weather for a long time. Wow, that's nasty stuff. But we're glad you're up and going again, and look forward to maybe having you on the show and talking about some of the things that you were able to do with your VidBlaster customized PC, and checking through the chat room to see we've got a bunch of names in there that weren't there at the beginning of the show. That's great. I'm not going to embarrass you by calling you out, except for Jean, because we're glad to have him. Oh, he's replying in the chat room. He says that if you pardon my French accent, no problem, no problem. If you'll pardon my Alabama accent. I remember, it's a little side story here, being a kid, and we were from the deep south in the United States, and we were on holiday going up to New England, and we were in New Hampshire or Vermont, which is way up near Maine, Bob. And we were going to a campground and pulled into the campground, and we're asking for a camping spot for the night. And the poor little girl that was running the front desk there just could not understand us. And she would say, "Now, what is it you want? What is it you want?" And it was really, really funny, really funny. Of course, we could understand her perfectly. I mean, she had kind of a strange accent, but it was English that she was speaking. Anyway, it's the same country, but still separated by a common language. Yep. Let's see. Well, unfortunately, I am through all of my show stuff for VidBlaster today. I thought I had more material. It's one of those things where, I've got plenty of material. It's no problem. So if there's anybody here in the chat room that's got some questions, we certainly will entertain some questions here, because there may be something that other people have been struggling with too. I will say that if you're watching live or later on YouTube, and perhaps you've purchased VidBlaster software from VidBlaster directly or from a different reseller, but you feel like you need some personalized support, I am happy to do that. Happy to help you with that. You can go to the website, thatvidblasterguide.com, and click on the store and scroll down to the bottom, and there's several options for picking up a support package. You can buy it by the hour, you can buy it by the year, or if you are ready to upgrade VidBlaster and you want to upgrade through me, that gives you a lifetime support and my telephone number. So don't feel like you're lost. Don't give up. And sometimes it's the simplest things. I had somebody email me, or actually they started out on the YouTube comment with a question about video quality. And I said, let's switch this over to email. And we went back and forth with a couple of emails. And the complaint was that the video quality was not very good. It didn't look good. It didn't look high definition. And they'd set their camera up for high definition, and they weren't sure what the story was. And I think there was a little bit of a language barrier, probably my southern accent again, as I tried to explain. Well, you go up in VidBlaster and you take your cursor and you move it up right here to the video command, and that drops down a little box, and then you can select the resolution, and that drops down a little box, and then you can choose what resolution you want to stream at. And as I thought about it, I've heard the same question a lot of times from a lot of folks. Apparently, it's not very intuitive. VidBlaster is so intuitive. You point and click. You want to change a camera, you click on it. You want to do something, it seems to have anticipated how you're going to think about how it should work, and so it works that way. Well, this is one of those things that's not particularly intuitive. If you want to change VidBlaster's global resolution, that is the resolution that it records at and it streams at, unless you say otherwise, you have to actually go into a menu and select it. It doesn't get triggered by your camera resolution or triggered by something else. You have to actually go select it. And the default in VidBlaster, when you open it up for the very first time, is 320 by 240. And I suspect that my friend was actually streaming at 320 by 240 and could not figure out for the life of him how to get out of that loop. And so I tried to explain it as many times as I could, and I'm not sure I got through. So if you're watching go up to video right here. Oh, well, I guess it won't be right here because you're not looking at it on the program. But if this were the VidBlaster program right here, well, let me do a quick screen capture and let me show you exactly where it is. Boy, that's one of the great things about VidBlaster. We're going to just select a quick area. We're going to take a look. And what I want to draw your attention to is the video menu right here. When you click that, it drops down. There's resolution. It drops down. You can see I'm at 864 by 480, but the standard resolution for VidBlaster is 320 by 240. And that's typically, you see the little white dot right there? Typically that white dot will be there if you've never changed it. So scroll down to any one of those, and that's how you can change the video resolution in VidBlaster. And that will affect how it streams, it will affect how it records, it'll affect anything that's set on auto for resolution will automatically have that resolution. So that's an answer to a question. And oh, somebody's giving me a hard time because a couple of weeks ago I was going to tell you all a story in the after show, and I didn't want to tell it and have it recorded during the regular show, and then I couldn't remember what it was later, and it was not the Southerners' visit to the New England campground story. All right, let's see. So that was not the funny story. Someone is asking in the forum, in the chat room here, why do I need a mixer to get sound out of VidBlaster? That's a great question, and that's a question a lot of people struggle with initially. Why can't I just have the player play out the audio and have it stream? Why is it so different? Well, VidBlaster kind of requires, and I think a lot of software is like this too, VidBlaster requires sort of an out and back setup for audio. So if there's audio that's in VidBlaster, like a player that's either playing an audio file or playing a video file with audio, that audio has to go out to the mixer to be mixed with the microphones and other devices that are connected to the microphones. And then that mix comes back into VidBlaster, and VidBlaster picks up that single audio source, the mix, and includes that in the stream or includes that in the recorder so that it's in the recorded file. VidBlaster does not have a audio mixing capacity, at least not now. There's been a lot of chat about that over the years in the forum about adding an audio mixer, and I suspect it's probably on the eventually take a look at and possibly do list, but at this point it's not. So in order to get all of your audio together, you got to send all the audio to the mixer. So the audio mixer becomes kind of like the audio VidBlaster, whereas VidBlaster is the video mixer, but also combines the audio from that other source. I probably really butchered that answer, but hopefully that'll, at least in theory, give you some assistance on how to get it to work that. There is a great explanation in far more detail about using a mixer with VidBlaster in the VidBlaster wiki. You remember, wiki is kind of like an online encyclopedia. So it's wiki.vidblaster.com. And you can go there and find all sorts of really helpful information. Actually, don't go there, because if you go there, you'll discover that's where Tom gets all this information that he shares with us. It's in the wiki. I can go get it whenever I want to. I don't have to watch his show anymore. So don't go to the wiki, wiki.vidblaster.com, because you won't find the information you need there. You can only get it on this show. So forget I even mentioned the wiki. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. What's the next question here? What is my best suggestion for a video output card or unit of some sort? That's a great question. And to some degree, that question depends on what are you doing. If it's the example that we used a little while ago about taking 4 ports of capture from cameras and running them through instant replay and then sending one video signal out, I suspect that a Blackmagic Intensity Pro card would work nicely. It's about just under $200 US. It can run in a PCIe, one of those small PCIe slots, and can take the output. VidBlaster will send it to that card, and then that card will send it to wherever you want it to go, like another PC. And you will have good control. Now, the Blackmagic Intensity Pro cards are notoriously a little tough to set up, so don't try to do this right before a broadcast. Say, oh, I just got this card. I'm going to pop it in and then broadcast tonight. I've tried to do that. That doesn't work. It's a recipe for frustration. So don't cook frustration. Take some time and allow yourself a week between the time you get a card like that and the time you want to actually use it to have it installed. And when I say installed, I don't mean just physically put it in the slot. I mean to install it and make all the configurations needed to that. And then once you have it installed and configured, to learn how to use it with the other software that you want to use it with. Because frequently it means that you have to make some changes to other things in order for that to work too. Here's some clarification on that question. They said, I want to send my program output to a series of monitors. Well, that's a different story altogether. I am today using a 3-monitor setup. VidBlaster is on the left-hand monitor, and then about 2/3 of this center monitor with my chat room here, and then other monitors there. And a couple of, probably a month or so ago, I described how to do that, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that right now. But if you have a multi-monitor setup like that, and you want the same video on all the other monitors, then you can simply add that second monitor or that series of second monitors off of some sort of video splitter and use the output module in video to set to, I think it's set to monitor. Or display, excuse me, display is the option. But you have to have the extended desktop enabled in order to do that. And so it will display whatever is in the program module on your monitors. Yep, I think that's the answer. I'm again, sometimes off the top of my head, I'm a little loose with the facts, but I think that'll get you in the right direction. Yeah, somebody in the chat room is saying an output card and a distribution amp. There you go, if you want the same output on all monitors. And then there's clarification of that question to say, by monitors, I mean on-location TV screens in the venue where they're broadcasting. Yep. That will do it. Obviously, you want to test this and not wait until the day of the broadcast to verify operation, because sometimes it's that little 50-cent connector that keeps things from working the way you want. Good questions. Good questions. Here's a clarification question or an additional question about the audio. And this is, so if you have a USB microphone along with playing a vid, both audio signals go out to the mixer, i.e. no separation of the two sources audio on the PC. Yes and no. That's a great question. What I'm doing here in my studio, and I'm sorry I don't have my cam set up on my mixer today, but I've got 4 different inputs on my mixer. One is the mic that I'm talking to you on right here that's just out of camera shot. One is the players in VidBlaster. One is, what's the best way to describe it? If I have Skype or some other software running and it produces audio, I can route that audio to a third channel on my mixer. And then if you've watched the show before, you've seen me take calls on my cell phone, and I can plug that into my mixer as well, so that I can control the volume of those various audios independent of each other, and then send those in the mix back to my PC and have them sound the way I want them to sound. It is difficult to take audio devices like microphones, for example, and plug them directly into your PC and then have them get mixed properly. It makes it much more difficult. If you're on the bubble about buying a microphone, there's a wonderful microphone put out by Audio-Technica. I think it's the 2100 that has both XLR and USB capability. So if you need the flexibility to do USB for certain kinds of events and then run it through a mixer for other kinds of events, that's a mic that you want to take a look at, because it is a dual function XLR and USB. But trying to go USB, or even taking a conventional gaming headset mic that would plug into the mic jack and the speaker jack on the PC sound card, even that gets problematic, mixing that in with other various audio sources and getting it to come into VidBlaster as a mix. You want to let the mixer do the mixing. That's the easiest way to put it. Okay. And I'm being echoed by a very wise man in the chat room, says, so it's better to mix everything externally and send the one mix to the PC to be selected as the one single audio source. That's very well said. I wish I had said it that clearly. Thank you, Martin. Always good to have Martin out there. Well, let's take a look and see who won this contest, shall we? Hang on a second while I grab my laptop. And we'll see if we got... Oh, no. My laptop was running on battery, but guess what? The battery died. So I guess we don't have any winners today. Okay, I'll go get the cable. Live broadcast. I'm leaving the scene. I will be right back. God, I hate to do this. That's the thing about live. You just never know. I thought about bringing that cable over here with me, and I thought, no, I've got at least a hour's battery life. So let me give you a little theme music here in the background, and sit tight. Oh, goodness. And I thought I was doing such a great show today. All right, let's see if we get this rascal fired up here. Isn't that great music? Okay, I'm looking at my inbox here, and I've got I've got 9 emails. And let's see, I didn't make sure I didn't miss anything here in the chat. Okay. The first email came in at 2:11. And that was a guess of what we were giving away. That was Tommy House guessing a Chromecast. And then at 2:14, Tommy House sends an email, and that's not the correct answer. He guessed version 2.21. Bob O'Connor says 2.14. That's not correct. Dave Pennington says 1.19. That's not correct. JB says version 1.11. JB got it right. Version 1.11 had the very first replay. So congratulations to JB. JB, shoot me an email with your mailing address. Congratulations. And a Chromecast will be on its way to you. And actually, JP was the one that when I put out the riddles on Twitter, he was the one that guessed correctly what it was that we were giving away. So a brand new, unopened Chromecast is on its way to you. And I had an opportunity to play with this. Of course, I bought one for myself, and it's really pretty cool. Now, it's got some work to do on it. Some people have tried to hack it so that you can watch all sorts of videos on it, and it's funny because the app that they had created that allowed you in the back door worked one day, and then the next day Google closed that back door and it didn't work anymore. And so it'll be interesting to see as people develop apps for this. And I understand that you can develop your own app for the Chromecast so that shows like this one could be viewed live on the internet on your big screen TV on Chromecast. So that's interesting. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to my buddy Pastor Washington, Lewis Washington, watching today. We chatted earlier, and I'd been meaning to call him back. So, okay. Let's see. And if by chance you need someone to develop an app like this for you, you might check with Tommy House at Tommy House Productions in Montgomery, Alabama, because he can probably help you with something like this. He's been working on one for me, and I think he can do the job. I got a little hint from that in the chat room that I should mention that. So let's see if anybody else got the answer right. I tell you what, anybody that got the answer right that didn't win a Chromecast, I will send you an email with a $10 credit for a VidBlaster purchase in the future. So anybody that got the answer right will get it. Now you can't send me an email now because you already know the answer. So let's see. Next answer was not correct. Martin K, who is a VidBlaster reseller, has the correct answer, but I'm not going to send him a $10 gift certificate. What in the world? And then Bob from Maine says version 1.10 beta. So Bob from Maine and Elmar Lamb have, and that's Ovinas. Okay. We'll both get a coupon in the email from me for $10 off a future VidBlaster purchase, and it's good forever. I mean, and it's only good for me. I can't extend it to vidblaster.com because I don't have that authority. And then JP wins the Chromecast. So congratulations to JP. Thanks for everybody that entered. We'll try to do another contest. Actually, coming up in October, I'm thinking about doing some really cool giveaways. So if you've got some ideas of what might make fun contests, I'm happy to hear them. Loved the one that we did back in March where folks submitted videos that they produced showing ways that they'd like to use VidBlaster if they owned it, and they could use the trial version to set that. And it was a lot of fun. Oh, Martin says that he was not trying to make a correction. He was not trying to win the contest, but that the answer is 1.10, not 1.1. And he's correct. It's 1.10. 1.10. And I think if I misanswered for somebody, let's see. Let me just double check here. See if anybody got the... Did anybody say 1.1? Because we will make them correct. Yep. All right. 1.10 it is. That's great. Thank you, Martin. Folks, I really appreciate everybody that tuned in today live. And for those of you watching on YouTube, we're glad to have you come with us too. We're live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom. If you're watching us live, hang around for a bit. We'll have a little after show here and congratulate JP with bells and whistles and hats and confetti. Otherwise, we will see you next week on That VidBlaster Guy. We'll be back shortly.